This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Hey guys, Jay here. Welcome to Models Memories Weekly, episode 175. Models Memories is a show about nothing and is filmed in front of a live studio audience. This is a show where I talk on painting, modeling, and wargame experiences from the week. Now you might be thinking to yourself, Jay, you put out 3 videos a week. Ow! Could I possibly have more to say? Well, I do, and here goes. This week, Games Workshop has finally revealed what is the mysterious redacted codex. But first, have you ever needed your squares all in one website you can call your own? Well, today's sponsor is here to help with that. Squarespace allows anyone to break into website design with easy-to-use features like the new guided design system, a Squarespace Blueprint. Choose from a professionally curated selection of styling options to build a unique online presence from the ground up. Squarespace makes it easy to launch your website and get discovered fast with integrated optimized SEO tools so you can show up more often to more people and grow the way you want. Or your own online storefront. Whether your services are physical, digital, or service-based, selling your wares has never been easier with Squarespace's seamless checkout tools. With a Squarespace website, your customers can use whatever payment system they prefer, whether it's credit cards, PayPal, Apple Pay, Afterpay, or ClearPay. Selling your unique wares has never been easier. Squarespace offers a free trial for you to dip your feet into and test the waters, and ready to dive in head first, you can go to squarespace.com/EonsOfBattle or follow the link in the description below to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. So, the mysterious redacted codex. It could have been anything. It could have been a new faction. A lot of people have been hypothesizing that it's going to be the Emperor's Children faction finally coming to chaos. What is it gonna be? It's Agents of the Imperium, which is fine. Agents of the Imperium is definitely the weirdest codex. A little bit of an invention of 10th edition, but like it got an index. Like we weren't expecting it not to get a codex. It does feel a little anticlimactic that like we've been redacted. Games Workshop doesn't even want to tell us what this is gonna be. It's just gonna be a codex, one of the ones that we were expecting to come out. I don't know, it's a cool codex. I'm excited to see it, but it doesn't have the gravitas that I thought Games Workshop might have been trying to push for, but it's still very unique. Imperial agents have been the special little thing that all Imperium armies get. You could take, at 2,000 points, you could take 2 characters and 2 units from the codex. I guess in theory, it was its own codex and you could have you could have made an army out of it. It would have been really hard to do because they didn't have vehicles or real units or real HQs. There's definitely some fun stuff in there, like Inquisitor Karamazov, who is a dreadnought with a 4-up feel no pain, he has a 4-up invulnerable save, and an actually good Melta at strength 10, 3 shots. Like Meltaguns. I want to melt things with Meltaguns. I'm a Black Templar player, I take Meltaguns on everything. Strength 9 is nothing. Like every vehicle in the game is strength 10 or above, so hitting on 3s or sometimes hitting on 2s, yeah, looking good, and then wounding on 5s and 6s. And I just get to watch my shots bounce every single time. But strength 10 Melta, I approve. Good old Inquisitor Karamazov. There's a couple of really, really fun units like that. The Assassins, the Eversor Assassin is one of the most fun things I've played with in all of 10th edition. That little missile, that little rocket just shooting out of my deployment zone, getting to advance and charge. But you're not gonna probably pick that one because you want him to have sustained hits 3. I can't think of another unit in the game that has sustained hits 3. That little weirdo charging his squad, just doing an incredible number of attacks. Oh, that little guy, he is so much fun. And that's kind of the nice thing about Imperial Agents, is they're not good. They're just kind of there. Like, they're for when you get bored. You're like, you know what? I've played this list so many times. Let me just bring some weird stuff. I'm gonna bring Imperial Navy Breachers. Let's see what that's about. That's just kind of what it's for. But now they have a proper codex, and with this new codex, I have a feeling that it's gonna be wild. It's gonna make Imperium list building weird for the next few months because Deathwatch has been wrapped into this codex apparently. Now Deathwatch isn't gone and moved into this codex. Deathwatch still exists in the way it's existed for all of 10th edition, which is kind of ignored by Games Workshop. Games Workshop has been doing a really good job of balancing and doing some small tweaks to things to make sure that all the factions are within the ballpark of each other power-wise. but not with Deathwatch. Games Workshop has been completely ignoring Deathwatch for every balanced data slate and every points adjustment, making it feel like their days are numbered as an actual standalone army. And this codex also kind of makes it feel like they're not a standalone army because a bunch of the units are getting rolled into this book. In the article, it does say like, Deathwatch players, don't worry, because you can bring a Space Marine army and paint your guys black and then use these rules to bring in your special guys. Deathwatch is over. Deathwatch is not going to be its own Space Marine faction anymore, which is kind of sad. I mean, you still can do it. You can still bring all of the units in an army. So nothing has changed other than you don't get a codex. You're not a real army. You're going to be a Space Marine army using one of the Space Marine detachments, and you're going to be bringing in requisition from Agents of the Imperium. It's just a weird, your faction is weird now. But speaking of weird, so there's a new category for Agents of the Imperium, requisitioned units. Now, in this article, it only shows off 2 requisition units, and I have no idea if they're gonna add more. I would assume they're gonna add more, but we got Grey Knight Terminators, and we got Battle Sisters. Any Imperium army can bring a squad of Terminators or a squad of Battle Sisters. That is weird. I love the idea of just bringing Grey Knight Terminators. It's very Dawn of War. Like, remember, like in Dawn of War, when you get to tech level 3 and you can bring in a squad of Grey Knights, like, it's awesome. So I could totally see and Grey Knights are a great unit. A little expensive at 200 points, but a 5-man squad of Terminator with a pretty good melee weapon, Stormbolter, objective control 3 on each guy, and they get a free apothecary to bring one guy back, one dead guy back a turn in your command phase. That's a pretty nice little unit. Space Marine players and like some of the, like, if you're like a Blood Angel player or something, not as exciting, but if you're like a Sister of Battle player, an Imperial Guard player, I could totally see wanting to bring a squad of Termies, because you don't have that in your codex. I guess Imperial Guard might have something better in the Bullgrins. I've played against Bullgrins. Bullgrins are rough. They don't hit impossibly hard, but man, can they take a punch. They can take many punches and still keep trucking. Those guys are cracked. But speaking of cracked, one thing that immediately jumped to mind when I saw that you can just take a 110 squad of Battle Sisters, Imperial Knights. Are all Imperial Knights armies now going to include one squad of Battle Sisters for the sticky objectives? Like a Battle Sister squad, 3-up save, like they're not bad at all. And then they get sticky objectives. So are you gonna have your knight stomping around and one Battle Sister squad just sprinting around the board trying to sticky objective as much as they can? It's really interesting. It's really interesting that space, like Imperium armies seem to get, they get everything, and they get the kitchen sink, and now like they get the porch and the foyer and the living room too, because they have so many options when it comes to list building. And it's really, really fun, but it does feel weird. Like if you're a Tyranid player, which I'm also a Tyranid player, Tyranid players can't even throw grenades or tank shock because our units technically aren't tanks and technically don't have pockets to hold grenades. So we're not allowed to do that. But any Imperium army can bring Battle Sisters or Grey Knights. Or with the Deathwatch being rolled into Agents of the Imperium, the Deathwatch Veteran Squad. I've recently played against this unit. Holy cow, it is wild. So for 100 points, you get 5 Space Marines, and 2 of those Space Marines can have the Frag Grenade, the Frag Grenade Launcher. It's an incredibly powerful weapon. I think it's D3+3 blast, reroll 1s if you're against a non-Chaos Space Marine or Imperium faction. Like, ridiculously good gun. You can also, in addition to those 2 grenade launchers, you can take 2 Thunder Hammers. And if you spend the full 200 points to get the full squad, you can bring 4 of each. And then on those last 2 guys, you can throw on the Storm Shield for the 4-up invulnerable save, and just tank the damage coming at you on those 4-up invulns to keep your guys alive a little bit longer. It's a wickedly powerful little unit. And it's available, you can bring 2, I guess, in every single Imperium army. And I think they have objective control too. Like, it's wild. It's wild that like everyone in the world, like I think like day 1 when this Codex comes out, we're gonna see the veteran space or Deathwatch veterans like immediately go out of stock on the Games Workshop web store. It's such a spicy little unit. And even in like my Black Templar army, thinking like for 200 points, maybe I should take it. Like it's really, really good. It's a really interesting little unit. And for armies, again, like Imperial Guard or Adeptus Sororitas, who don't have access to those sorts of units, probably a worthwhile investment. Even if you don't want to go with the Frag Grenade Thunderhammer route and have like an army or like a unit with good close range shooting and good assault and charge, you could just take 4 missile launchers and then take 6 guys for the 4-up invulnerable save and have a pretty good, albeit expensive, anti-tank unit that's really tanky itself. Like, there's a lot you can do with Deathwatch veterans. And you can also take a Corvus Blackstar. Corvus Blackstar is fine. It was very unique in that it could transport jump pack and mounted units, which was really interesting. The Corvus Blackstar, it doesn't look good in pictures. If you look at the Games Workshop web store or you look at some of the pictures in this article, not an attractive ship, but I owned one for years and years before I sold my Deathwatch army. It's a beautiful model. It's so cool in person. Hundreds of hours of my time has been spent holding that little ship and making vroom vroom noises around my room. It's really cool in person, I promise, but it's just okay in game. It's not bad. Depending on what its transport capacity is gonna look like, it could be very useful. And if it's free to any Imperium army, maybe it's worth trying it out. Speaking of available to any army, Inquisitors. I really want to love Inquisitors. Most people probably haven't even looked at the Inquisitors like datasheet. They can be attached to anything in the game practically. They're really, really interesting. They give you a 3-up chance of not spending a command point, which is almost really good. But like, if you have like a unit that you're like, I would love to spend this command point, or I would love to spend this stratagem every single turn, and on a 3-up, I haven't even spent it. Is that better at 55 points than just buying a captain so that you can just have it for free every single turn? Like, I don't know. They're not particularly good in close combat. They're not particularly good at shooting. Even like Kyria Draxus and Grey Fox don't have abilities that are so good that you would really want to take them over just something that you want, like a Dante or a Grimaldus or like whatever in your codex is what's meant to go alongside your good units. They're very interesting. I almost wish, this would probably be too good, but I almost wish, kind of like a lieutenant, they could attach to a squad that already has an attached captain. Then there would be definitely something to it, but they're just okay right now. I really wish that Grey Fox was better because she's a really, really cool unit. Kind of same with Kyria. But speaking of Inquisitors, another Inquisitor is back from, not the grave, I guess, because he's still in the game, but does anybody know the name Kotez? Probably not. I've actually taken Kotez in a game. I didn't even know that he was coming back like as a new model. His new model, it's fine. It's kind of not fine. It might be bad. I don't want to say it's bad because he looks fine. He looks cool. His power armor, I think the big problem with his power armor is them hips don't lie. Holy cow, is he a girthy boy. Like, man, his power armor is chonky and bonky. Like, it's his old armor. If you look at the old mini is this tiny little thing because it used to be a pewter mini and I think now it's a fine cast mini. But he looked pretty good. He had a sculpted pecs with nipples, which you have to in 40K. He looked really good. He kind of just needed to be like 40% bigger. This isn't that model 40% bigger. This is kind of its own model. And he looks really plain. I mean, he's got the Age of Sigmar like knee pads. And then he's got the biggest belt I've ever seen running across his body. I mean, literally his belt is almost bigger than his head or wider than his head. And speaking of that head, before he had like a classic handsome Squidward bald head Space Marine look, which is fine. That's just how 40K characters look. Now he kind of just looks like a guy. Like he has the Lego Man haircut and he's just fine, whatever. And then his armor is so kind of simple and plain that it's hard not to focus on his weird wonky proportions. He's got his big Inquisitor belt, which instead of looking like a belt, it looks like a license plate that's just like attached right above his groin. It's weird. I don't know. This model is not doing it for me. I like his bird. His bird is really cool. The double-headed eagle who has like a little necklace of an inquisitorial charm on his back. It's really, that model is really fun. And it's interesting that it's a separate model now instead of just perched on his arm. So presumably it's gonna have some sort of an effect in game. Kotez's ability before was every time your opponent would get a command point for any reason, for any like extra rule, you would get a command point. That's why I was bringing him, because Sean plays Imperial Guard with Horse Lord, Leontis, and so he would get an extra command point every turn, and so with Kotez, I would get another command point every single turn. It's really, you wouldn't bring him because most people don't have stuff like that. I guess like Swarm Lord or Gilliman or Leontis can do it, but other than that, you don't assume that your opponent is going to be getting all sorts of extra command points, so no reason to bring Kotez, but if he has any new interesting abilities, he'll probably be worth taking. He's on the cover of this book. He's on the cover of the Codex, so presumably there's going to be some extra spice to him, but yeah, the model doesn't seem spicy. Oh, and by the way, this is the new thing for Codex Agents of the Imperium. There's in a Codex where they can literally have and do anything. They could come up with any unit. They refreshed Kotez. It's fine. It's fine, I guess. But speaking of refreshes, count them, 3 battle forces for Agents of the Imperium. Agents of the Imperium aren't even popular, and they get more battle forces than anything else in the game. Kind of interesting, but boy, these battle forces, there's not much to them. The Ordo Xenos comes with Kyrie Adraxis, a navigator, which is interesting. I don't even know what a navigator does. Were they in the game? This is the navigator from Blackstone Fortress. And then it comes with the Rogue Trader kill team. It comes with the Imperial Agents kill team. Squad of Deathwatch veterans, I already talked about them. They're excellent. And the Corvus Blackstar, just cool to have. This is a battle force that's probably about 500 points in game. Like the Rogue Traders and the Inquisition kill team is like nothing points wise. I think they're both 50 points in game base. And then there's no real reason to upgrade them to a full 10-man squad. So I don't know, this battle force is going to be really expensive for the number of points it gives you in game. And unless this codex comes out and it is absolutely jam-packed with units, I can't imagine a lot of people are going to be playing Codex Imperial Agents, so that one's an interesting battle force. Moving on to the Ordo Malleus. Many people think this one is the coolest. You get a Caluxus Assassin, the anti-psyker one that no one takes because very few things in the game are psychic. And then you get Grey Knight Terminators. You also get the Inquisitorial Henchman kill team, Kotez, and a second Inquisitorial Henchman kill team and a Chimera. Once again, this is a very low points, battle force. Grey Knight Terminators are awesome. I'm assuming that the Chimera is going to be in the Codex because the Inquisitors need something to ride in. I don't know, it's fine. Oh, and you get Pious Vorn. She's hiding right in the middle of this picture. Why is she here? I guess Pious Vorn is more of a preacher than, I think literally they brought her back into the game as the new model for preacher units. I don't quite remember what preachers do. I don't know what she can attach to. I guess she can attach to Inquisitorial Henchmen because everything can. You don't get a Jacaro because I think Games Workshop forgot Jacaro exists. Also, Jacaro is just a weird thing to add to Inquisitorial Henchman because he gives you +1 to wound. Boom, one of the best abilities in the entire game, but can only attach to a unit that doesn't really have shooting. So, Oh, and Jacaro only helps wound rolls with shooting weapons. So your little stubber pistols are gonna be shooting real good and doing 1 damage. It's, I don't know. This is a weird box. 2 Inquisitorial Henchmen. Very, very strange. And then the Ordo Hereticus. This one actually might be really good. You get an Exaction Squad, you get Battle Sisters, you get an Immolator. Don't forget, you also get a Inquisitorial Henchman kill team. And then you get Grey Fox. That's not bad. And you get a Preacher, another Preacher from kill team, or from Blackstone Fortress. Interesting. Okay, so this box actually might be something. I've been playing Dawn of War with the expansion mod. I forget the name of it, but Sean helped me install it on my computer so that I can have all of the different new stuff that's been added to the game, just fan-made stuff. And you can take Ordo Hereticus, sisters, and they look really cool and they're really, really fun to play. So I've been thinking, in the back of my mind, I've had this idea, this dream project of doing a heavily kit bash and converted Sisters of Battle army. I think this would be a really good way to do Sisters of Battle and just to have a little bit of extra fun with it. I like this box a lot. Also, Exaction Squad is pretty good. I think with the shields, they get a 4-up invulnerable save, which is not bad. I think they have 2 wounds apiece. Toughness 3, but there's definitely something to them. they feel really nice alongside the Battle Sisters, because the Battle Sisters are in a similar boat of they can punch pretty darn good, they can shoot pretty darn good, but they're kind of weak. They're glass cannons. Like the whole Sisters of Battle range is glass cannon. So I feel like they fit uniquely well into this like Inquisition style. I like this box a lot. Ordo Hereticus. This is going to be a weird codex. I'm already doing some weird list building, and I'm really excited to see what this codex brings. Like, what should I just bring 2 chimeras with my Space Marines? Like, can I even put... The Games Workshop's going to have to figure something out with the keyword situation, because they tried this with Genestealer Cult, where Genestealer Cult can bring 500 points of Imperial Guard, but the Imperial Guard Codex is built around Imperial Guard keywords. So Chimeras can transport Acolyte hybrids and Neophyte hybrids or any Genestealer Cult stuff like they used to be able to. They can only transport other Imperial Guard things because of keywords. So hopefully they've come up with something for Agents of the Imperium where it's like, ignore the keywords, anything that should be able to go in a Chimera can go in a Chimera, don't worry. Because it gets so frustrating. Like my Aberrants used to go in Chimeras. They used to drive Chimeras up the board like a lunatic and then dump out a bunch of Aberrants, and it was beautiful. But now they have to be in trucks, which I don't prefer because trucks are more expensive than Chimeras. Chimeras are a little bit tougher than trucks. Like, just let me do whatever I want. I don't want to be stuck like trying to figure out, okay, this codex has this keyword, this codex has this keyword. Never the two shall mix. It gets really, really frustrating. So I hope that Games Workshop comes up with something really clever for Agents of the Imperium. But yeah, this is gonna be really weird. Imperium list building is gonna be messy and nuts and weird, and I kind of love it because 40k is like the silliest, most obtuse thing in the world, but the fun comes from the weirdness and the wackiness and just the random grab bag assortment of things you can do. So I am really looking forward to this codex. I'm looking forward to it probably almost as much as I'm looking forward to the terrain on our Patreon. Ever wanted to fight your battles in the labyrinthine hallways of a starship, moving your models in tight formation through a maze of corridors, bulkheads, and junctions where retreat is impossible and danger is around every corner? Well, the Eons of Battle Starship Interior is here to make that dream a reality. For the month of July, subscribers to our Patreon will receive the Starship Interior, a set of claustrophobic, dynamic, and modular hallways that are scaled to perfectly suit wargaming miniatures and give you a new way to play. And if you always want to be up to date on the goings-on here at Eons of Battle and be entered into our monthly giveaways, this month we're picking 3 followers to win this month's terrain. You can follow the link in the description to sign up to our newsletter. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think of Agents of the Imperium? Are you excited for it? Are you nervous about it? Are you someone who doesn't play Imperium and so you don't care one bit? Are you excited to fight tons and tons and tons of Deathwatch veterans in probably every single army? I can't imagine why people wouldn't take them because they're really good. The only thing weird about them is they can take missile launchers in the game and they can take 2 frag cannons per 5, but that doesn't come in the box. You get 1 frag cannon, but you don't get any missile launchers. And Games Workshop seems to be moving in a direction of if it doesn't come in the box, they're not meant to have it. So it'd be interesting to see if that changes or how Games Workshop deals with that going forward. I don't know. It's going to be a really weird time in 40k for a little bit, and I'm really excited for it. Thanks for watching.